Thank you, Davinia, Teresa, and good afternoon from Madrid. Good morning elsewhere in the world. On behalf of Snowlight, I think it's our pleasure to have a world-leading expert in the field of learning analytics. For the few attendees who may not know him, Xavier Ochoa is an assistant professor of learning analytics in the Department of Administration, Leadership, and Technology of the Steinhardt School of Culture, Education, and Human Development at New York University. He's also a member of the Learning Analytics Research Network at NYU and leads the Augmented Research Group. Xavier has been an active researcher in the field of learning analytics since its inception in 2011. So he's been here from the very beginning, and he served in the executive committee and was vice president of the Society for Learning Analytics Research. And is also currently editor-in-chief of the Journal of Learning Analytics. His main research interests are now the automatic measurement and feedback of 21st century skills through multimodal analysis. That's the topic of this keynote, whether they occur in physical or online spaces. So Xavier, we are really honored for having you here to open this Learning Analytics Summer Institute Spain 2021. I'm not sure if we'll have some time for questions because we're running out of time. So without much further ado, now you have the floor. The floor is yours, either virtual or physical, in this case, virtual.
Thank you very much for the introduction, Angel. Thank you very much for the organizing committee for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be in here, seeing so many familiar faces, familiar names, having worked through the years. Today, I want to talk about how we can augment feedback for transversal skills with the use of multimodal learning analytics. So it's a little bit of compilation of some of the work that I have been doing, but also other groups in the world have been conducted in this topic. First, I want to start with a question. How do we learn a skill? We will try to solve this question taking an example. Let's take something from math. Let's take something as mundane as the quadratic equation. I think some of you have flashbacks of high school learning this topic. So we are drilled with this equation, how to solve, because it's important to know how projectiles move in the space. For a lot of reasons, it's important in math. So how we do learn to solve problems with quadratic equations? Well, first, an instructional designer, sometimes the teacher, gets into a design process. They want to, okay, I want to teach this, what I will do, what are the steps, what are the moments in the classroom that I will use. I make a plan of class, they will do this, they will exercise, they're gonna play. Okay, he designs something specifically to learn the quadratic equation. So we have an instructional design. Then that instructional design is put in motion first sometimes with teaching. So the instructor get in front of the student and explain, this is the quadratic equation, this is how we use, we solve a problem on the blackboard, on the whiteboard. We have some discussion, answer questions, so the teaching part. So there is this more theoretical explanation of how things work. Then there's the practicing. Yeah, the students get into homeworks, they have to solve a lot of problems with the quadratic equations. They sometimes can see the answer, sometimes they cannot see the answer, they can solve in groups, they can solve alone, but there is a lot of practicing of the skill. Yeah, but there is not just practicing, because there is some kind of measurement and evaluation involved in this, because if they are just solving problems, yeah, that will not be good, but they are actually being able to check if those problems were solved correctly. They have some kind of quiz where they solve the problem and the teacher grade that problem and say, okay, you are missing this part, you are not taking into account that there is a positive and negative sign. So constantly they are being evaluated on this skill. Yeah, they receive feedback about their progress in the skill, sometimes a grade, sometimes more formative feedback, and they have the chance to reflect of, okay, I need to study more about quadratic equation. I think I ace all the quizzes. I think that I know how to do it. Or on the other side, okay, I'm failing all the quizzes. Maybe I need to develop more time to study it. Maybe I have to see other type of strategies to learn. And you continue this process. Maybe there is a fresh instruction. There are more practicing. There are more feedback, more reflection, till you get to get better at that. That's what I have described it is the typical process which you go to learn any skill. Yeah, any disciplinary skill that you see, from math to biology to any other, you have this planned instruction. Yeah, you have this guided practice if you want. Let's ask this question again. How do we learn a skill? But now we will talk about a different type of skill, collaboration. How do we learn how to collaborate? Okay, the teacher tells us, okay, go in groups and solve this problem together. That's all. How we learn to collaborate? Collaborating. How do you learn to be able to not speak too much, to give chance to others to speak, to listen to others, to construct all the ideas of others, to create a collaborative environment? By doing it. Personally, and I think it's the experience of most of you, I never was formally instructed on how to collaborate. Nobody told me this is the way that you collaborate. These are the good things for collaboration. These are bad things for collaboration. Nobody was monitoring me. I never received any feedback, well, formal feedback at least, on collaboration. Yeah. So you see the difference between the previous example of math problems, where you drill that skill into students, and this other skill that is collaboration, that is just, okay, you learn by doing it. Yeah, you will learn it. There's no pressure here. You just get exposed to it. You learn by practice, but practice without guidance. So what is not there in the learning of this more transversal skill that is collaboration? The activities were not designed specifically for learning to collaborate. They're designed to solve a problem, maybe solve the quadratic equation problem. You get in a group and you try to solve the problem. They're designed to learn that skill, not to learn to collaborate. It's very difficult to find activities that are designed specifically to learn collaboration skills. The idea is that you have collaboration, and out of that collaboration, you get to develop the skill. There is no instruction on how to collaborate. Nobody tells you how. Nobody tells you the theory behind it. Nobody tells you the principles. Nobody apart from the participant is monitoring the whole process. Yeah, maybe the teacher comes in a while, see the group for a while and say, okay, you should let everybody speak and go out and go to other group. So nobody's really taking care of the whole process. Just the participants are there the whole time, usually. There's no explicit feedback. Nobody is telling me, you did this wrong. You should not speak too much. You should let other people speak. You should participate more. There's very little of that. There's very little of this precious feedback on collaboration quality. Sometimes the feedback that arrives is only about the final product. Yeah, whatever you did at the end, yeah, you solved the equation. Your collaboration was great because you solved the equation. Doesn't matter if just one person in the group was able to solve the problem and the other was just there for the ride. Yeah. You do not receive feedback on the process itself. There is no personalized feedback. Normally the feedback is to the group, but not for the individual, because we are not able to observe the group. We don't know what's happening in the group. And there is no opportunity to learn from mistakes. We don't know even if we were making mistakes. The person that was talking half of the time, sometimes they are not even conscious that they were talking half of the time. Yeah. Or the person that is not participating, sometimes they don't receive a feedback. They get a grade at the end, maybe a good grade. So for them, collaboration were okay. So this is basically what is lacking in transversal skills, is what's called deliberative practice. It's a construct, basically a theory, that say that if you want to master any skill, from sports, from playing tennis to do surgery, to any skills that you want to play in the violin, what you need to do is deliberative practice. And there is several steps in deliberative practice. We have described them when we talk about The math problem, how to learn the quadratic equation, is the same. You have an activity designed to learn the skill. You practice that activity. You are monitored while you're doing that activity. You get feedback on that activity. You are able to reflect, and you're able to repeat. So that's deliberative practice. But for some reason, that is not present at all in transversal skills. Yeah, there is a lot of that in disciplinary skills, but very few of that is related to transversal skills. Yeah, especially for the big 4 C's. Yeah, for communication, collaboration, creativity, and critical thinking. Those skills, I think, we're supposed to learn them by getting exposed to them, by this nebulous thing of, okay, you do collaboration, you should learn collaboration. You are exposed to creative activity, so you learn to be creative. Doesn't work like that. And you see now, if you read any modern text about the importance is competence-based learning, skills-based learning, they say the most important skills in the workforce in the 21st century, that's what we call 21st century skills, are these transversal skills. More important than knowing the quadratic equation is knowing how to collaborate, how to be creative, how to communicate with others. Yeah, just imagine how many times we left high school a long time ago, I suppose, most of us. How many times you have used the quadratic equation that you were drilled on when you were in school versus how many times you have to collaborate in those years? I bet you that you have been collaborating much more than using the quadratic equation. But the feedback that you receive for learning the quadratic equation, I bet it was a lot more than the feedback that you have received about how to collaborate. So why this disparity? Why we put so much effort on disciplinary skills and very little effort on feedback on transversal skills? It's not by chance, it's not by choice. It's not that we have discovered something, oh, we're doing something wrong and we can do it now a bit better. No, it's not something that was neglected, that we don't do it because we don't want, or that's traditional teaching and we want. No, we are not feedbacking these transversal skills because it's hard, very, very hard. Hard, how hard? Because we're reaching the limits of human capabilities. Yeah, we cannot do it. It's not because we don't want to do it. It's not that this is more, there's a clear choice of, oh, I don't want to do that. No, we cannot do that. Yeah, it's not feasible to do it in the classroom. It's not feasible to feedback collaborative process in the classroom, we as human beings. Because what are the limitations? First, teachers or instructors are not able to monitor the process. For example, I have 3 groups collaborating. How I see all the 3 groups at the same time? Yeah, I cannot sit with all 3 of them. I could not be in there. I cannot have 3 teachers. Yeah, that will be very expensive to monitor those groups. Yeah, you need to monitor the process, but we humans cannot do it. We need to provide detailed feedback. Again, imagine that we are collaborating for 30 minutes. I will be able, even if I'm sitting with a group and I'm taking notes, I will not be able to remember everything. I will not be able to get everything there and provide detailed feedback to each one of the students. I need to have a tiger, basically. I need to hire a PhD student, sit with every group that we do collaboration and tag everything that happens and provide feedback to that group. Second, and it's not just a problem with the instructors, it's also a problem with the students. The students are not able to reflect upon a process just from memory. Oh, remember what you did in the last 30 minutes. I hardly remember what I did in the previous 5. Yeah. So you distort reality, you see what you want to see. It's very difficult to reflect for something that lasts that long, where you are invested, you are trying to solve a problem, so all your attention is to try to solve the problem. If they're asking you how the collaboration went, you don't remember what happened during the collaboration. And finally, students are not able to track their progress. I'm improving. Yeah, I don't have a grade for collaboration. I'm not able to see a grade from a B to a B plus, to an A, to an A plus. Yeah, I'm not seeing how I'm progressing there. I'm just going to one collaboration, going to the next. I don't remember what happened in the previous one. I go as a fresh one again. So yeah, we learn from experience, but it's not the same level of improvement that we're able to achieve when we are monitoring, when we are getting feedback in a way that we can digest it. So we have these problems, these human limitations. And now I think the name of my research group comes to a little more sense, makes more sense. My group is called Augmented. That is, it's about augmenting human intellect in education. What is this thing of augmenting human intellect? Actually, it's a very old thing. It's not a newfangled idea that I have. It's a very old movement in technology in general. So what's the role of technology? It was discussed in the 50s and the 60s. And the conclusion was the role of technology is not to replace human beings. It's actually to augment them. If you remember Douglas Engelbart, the inventor of the mouse, the mother of all the demos, he was the one that coined this phrase of augmenting human intellect and said augmenting human intellect is about increasing the capabilities, our capabilities, to approach complex problem situations, to gain comprehension to suit our particular needs, and to derive solutions to problems. So it's about taking what we already have and augmenting it. And we're able to provide feedback. Teachers are able to provide feedback. Teachers are able to monitor progress. Students are able to reflect. Students are able to improve. But, you know, for these transversal skills, it's very difficult. It goes against those limits. So what we need to do is bring technology to augment our capabilities so we, not computers, we can reflect, we can provide feedback, we can monitor, we can improve. So how we can do it? Easily, we need to help instructors to monitor, we need to help instructors to provide feedback, we need to help students to reflect, and we need to help students to track their progress. Yeah? Easy, well, easy peasy. It's not that easy. For this to happen, the machine should be closer to the human. Yeah, machines should work together with the humans to achieve this. We have to augment. So that means that the machines will be part of us, should be augmented our capabilities. For this, the machine should sense like a human. The machine should perceive like a human. The machine should compute like a machine, not think like a human. These are some of the mistakes that we are trying to do with these artificial intelligence things. The machine is not yet able to think as a human. Yeah, and no amount of deep neural networks do this. Yeah, the machines could not provide the feedback themselves because they are not able to think as a human. But they are able to compute like a machine in a way that humans cannot. And that's the good thing. If we're talking about augmenting, we cannot augment with the same thing that we are. We have to augment with a different thing that we are. And this is where computers come in. Yeah. But also the machines need to communicate as a human. So you see, machines have to interface with us in the same way that we see the world, that we perceive the world, that we communicate with the world. But they have to think like machines. Those are things that we are not able to do so. We complement each other. So what it means to sense like a human? To sense like a human means see the world through different modalities. We humans are not limited to just study the text. So, for example, there is a lot of students on collaboration saying, trying to figure out how collaboration goes just by reading the chat or reading a discussion group. That's a very narrow view of the collaboration process. Yeah, because we humans do not only communicate with text, we communicate with all the other modalities that we have. We communicate our feelings through how we write. We communicate our feelings of how we say things, our facial expression, the poses that we do, all the things that how we communicate go through different channels. Yeah, visual channel, auditory channel. Sometimes we feel nervous. Yeah, people can detect that we are feeling nervous. Yeah. So how we can make the machine sense the world in the same way that we do? Fortunately, right now there's a lot of sensors, low cost, highly available sensors that machines can use to store data. So they should record audio, video, all the things, not just digital files on a computer. They are able to go beyond that right now. They should be able to perceive like a human. What it means to perceive? It's not just the recording the video. Okay, I have the recording of a video, but the machine should know what's happening on the video, what's there, what's the facial expression, what's the movement, what's the posture, what's the what's the gaze of the student. You should extract that. And this is the use of artificial intelligence. It's not to do the reason. The use of artificial intelligence is to perceive, to things that for us are automatic. Like I can, for right now, I'm looking at the screen and I see a computer, I see keys. Yeah, machines are not able to do that normally with a video. What we need is some kind of artificial intelligence model that allow us to classify objects in an image. Yeah, that's the use of artificial intelligence, to perceive, to see, to be able to know what's happening on the video, on the audio, on automatic speech recognition, automatic emotion recognition, prosodic features. Yeah, we need to make the machines see things like we see them, to perceive things that we perceive. When it means to compute like a machine, then is where it comes, okay, analytics, learning analytics. It's able to take that enormous amount of data that we humans cannot process on our own, and take that amount of data, and basically the role of the computer for me is simple, is to simplify that information. Yeah. Through all these analysis, what we do, all these analysis, all those models, all those things, because we want to take that a bunch of information and reduce it in something that we humans can understand, we humans can process. Yeah. So machines are very good at that. They are able to take very large data sets and reduce them to very few indicators. Okay, so that's what they should do. And finally, that's another big issue, is they need to communicate with humans. And we humans, yeah, we can see a screen, but when we're in the classroom, we don't want to have a screen on our face. Imagine that you are in this group. Look at this picture, it's a very old picture already. This is one of the experiments of Pierre Dillenburg in Switzerland. If you see, this look like a normal classroom, people working together, but actually there is a lot of multimodal activity going here. You see these lights? These lights are just measuring the time that the different groups are spending in each one of the programs. So the teacher of the instructor have a look at around the classroom and immediately know which groups are having problems. For example, this group is having an issue with a problem. So the instructor knows where to approach to help them. So the machine is not presenting a dashboard to the teacher with a lot of dials and visualizations. It's basically embedded in the environment. Yeah. You can hardly notice this. If I haven't told you about the labs, well, it's just a classroom. Yeah. But this is what it's communication. The machine not only use multimodality to absorb information from the environment, but also can use multimodality to provide information to the environment. Yeah. So you should not only use text and images, you can use sound, you can use vibrations, you can use any type of feedback mechanism that is available to humans. Okay, so this is what we should do. Remember, our problem is how we can improve the monitoring, the feedback processing, the reflection. We do it like this, with computers that can do this, that can sense like a human, perceive like a human, and communicate with humans. And this is actually the role of multimodal learning analytics. In multimodal learning analytics, that is exactly what we want to do. We want to analyze learning traces from multiple modalities to support learning process stakeholders. So students, teachers, how to help them through the analysis of multimodal learning traces. Instead of trying to go into theoretical discussion on how we can do this, let's show you some examples. Let's start with one of the oldest examples of the use of multimodal learning analytics for transversal skills, that is oral presentations. So that's one of the skills that students need to learn, is how to present in public, to communicate in public. And you know that this is an experience that actually is very frightening for a lot of people, yeah, to present in public, to go in front of an audience and deliver a speech. And you know, we all have been at presentations, even at high-level research events, and we see people that are not able to present. Yeah, you see that they don't have the skills. They have never developed the skills, and they are highly trained individuals. They are doing the PhD, have already finished the PhD, some of them, and they still do not know how to present in public. Yeah, we all have been there. So how we can help people to learn these skills, and why they do not know how to present in public? Because they were never taught how to present in public, because it's difficult. It's not something that you just can get on your own. Sometimes you need feedback, you need training, you need deliberative practice. The systems that I'm presenting today, I will call them in general OPAFs, is oral presentation automatic feedback system. The idea is they provide feedback about basic oral presentation skills, looking at the audience, speaking with a loud voice, having a good posture, an open posture, avoid use filled pauses like while talking. So system that allows you to gain these basic oral presentation skills. How many of these systems exist in literature? A lot, a dozen at least. Yeah, this is a survey that I did. You see, since 2007, basically the arousal of sensors, of chief available sensors for computers. Till, okay, I think there is a paper that was this year or last year about this too, but was one of the derivatives of these systems. And you see all over the world, from Japan to Europe to USA, from Ecuador. My team, when in my previous institution, was working on this. Yeah, so it's not something that is very secretive or very specialized knowledge, something that basically any research group with the interest could build. How they work? Basically, as any other multimodal learning analytic system works, they record what is happening, in this case, the oral presentation, through a series of sensors. Then you extract the modalities, which modalities are interesting to you. They extract the features of that modalities, you fuse them, you do the analytics, and you present that information back to the students as some kind of report. Could be on real time or could be after the fact. There are several variations on how those systems work, but in general, they follow this pipeline. What kind of sensors are used? Okay, most of these sensors, if you see, they use a RGB camera and a depth camera. That's got a name, that's a Kinect. Yeah, Kinect sensors were kind of the boom of these systems. When they were available, it allows people to capture the body posture. That was a huge thing because now we can analyze the movement of the presenter. But you see, most of them use audio. Yeah, the audio of the presenter, the presenter is saying, not analyzing necessarily what the presenter is saying, but how they are saying it. So the pauses, the rhythm, the pitch, yeah. Some of them analyze the movement, so accelerometers to see how they move. And some of them analyze, for example, digital files. For example, the presentation, the slides that they are using in the presentation, yeah, they could do that too. Yeah, and normally these sensors are very small. You can embed it, for example, this is for a system that we developed in Ecuador. So you have a projector, you have a Raspberry Pi to do the calculation, a microphone, a camera, and that's all. Yeah, there's a microphone and a camera because it's able to see and it's able to hear. Yeah, and just with these things that is very cheap, you can do this kind of automatic feedback. What kind of modalities, what kind of features we can extract out of that? Okay, there is a plethora of these, from posture to hand gestures to gaze to body movement to facial expression. This is the body language in the voice. We can see the content of the voice, the speech, the volume, the cadence, the rhythm, the pitch variation, the pauses, the fill pauses, and from the visual, for example, the design of the visual is that's a multimedia. That's the media. Sorry, I put up. So this is the media, but these are the modalities. Out of those recordings, we're able to extract a lot of information because that's how we humans operate. When we see a person, we not only see the body, we see the movement, we see the hands, we see the posture, we see the face. Yeah, we see a lot of information going there. Computers can now do the same, fortunately. Let's go with one of these modalities, for example, posture. Now we can do this by software. We don't need hardware anymore. We don't need Kinects anymore. We can just feed the video, and deep neural network is able to capture the skeleton. And it's not just one person. You can have 50 persons in the video. they still be able to capture the skeleton of each individual person. So that's what I said. This is the role of artificial intelligence, to sense. Yeah, we humans can do this. If they give you a picture of a person, draw the skeleton, we can do it without thinking. Computers should be able to do it without thinking. That's the stage that we are right now. We are able to do this detection easily. Yeah, there are several software packages, MediaPy, OpenPose, that you can use to do this automatically. Yeah, now comes the interesting part, the analysis. What do you do with that posture? What do you do with that information? Okay, for example, we can cluster the different postures. We can record hours and hours of video of presenting people, and we can say, okay, what are the typical postures that students have when they present? We can, okay, cluster them. Computers can do that very easily. And then we humans come and say, okay, which one of these are good postures for presentation and which one are bad ones? For example, hands down, arms down, normally is a bad presentation. That's what any expert will tell you. Don't have your hands down when you're presenting. Also, do not have a closed posture. That means hands in front of you, closing the posture. So creates kind of a barrier. Presenting is okay. When you are looking at the slides, that's not okay. So you can classify that, and you can now feed the videos. Now you have a model, and feed a video, you have the points, and it's clustered. Okay, this is presenting, or this is closed posture. So now you can start providing some feedback, or you know what's happening in the presentation. The person is having a good posture while presenting, or is having a not recommended posture while presenting. Then feedback. This is the final step. Once you do this analysis for all of those modalities, you have to create something to deliver to the students. And there are several ways to do it. One is online. So while they are presenting, they receive some alerts. Yeah. So for example, if you are like this, don't cross your arms. And you do it. You open them. Or you receive a feedback report at the end. Yeah. So as you see, many systems do it online, some other systems do it offline. There's still no good indication of which is better. They're doing it visually through the screen, most of them. Some of them use a virtual public, the same way that we receive feedback when we present. If the people are sleeping, maybe we are not using a good tone of voice. If people are looking to different places, maybe we're not looking at them. Yeah, so they create a virtual public that react to the presentation. Some of them do it in VR, so they create a virtual reality, so you are immersed there, so you can have the public, but also some signals going around. Some of them provide some alarms, some oral feedback, and some of them provide haptic feedback. And you have some kind of wristband that vibrates when you are doing something wrong. Yeah, so there are many ways. This is the way that we did it in the RAP system. That was the one that I implemented. So you're able to see when you were looking at the audience, when you were looking away from the audience, how much time you were spending looking at the audience versus other places. Yeah, looking at the slides. Yeah. So you get some feedback. And the main question, do the system work? Out of doing all of this and providing it to students, actually we did a control experiment and we found that, yeah, they increase oral presentation skill acquisition, especially when it augments human feedback. On their own, it works, but not so well. If you take this plus the feedback that humans provide, the disciplinary feedback about the content of the presentation, they work a little bit better. So they are not there to replace the usual feedback that we receive when we're doing a presentation. They are there to augment that feedback. So you get better. So you have two kinds of feedback. The automatic feedback that is about the mechanics of the presentation that usually instructors don't care about that. Yeah, okay, that's a matter if you have the hands in your pockets, if you deliver a good content, yeah, it's okay. Yeah, that's normally professor at the university will say, I don't care about that. It's not my role to teach you how to present. Sadly, that's one thing. So they receive this more mechanical feedback from the machine, and they receive the more content, the thing that machine cannot understand, that is the content of the presentation. They receive that feedback out of a human being. So the combination of these two type of feedback, this augmenting of the human feedback, is what creates a better environment for the acquisition of the skill, for this process of reflection and improvement, yeah, for deliberative practice. So this is one example of the use of learning analytics. Let's see another example. Collaboration. Yeah, this is the node that we want to crack right now. How to teach people how to collaborate. We have seen that collaboration is something that we don't learn. We learn by doing. So how we can provide feedback about this, how we can provide feedback on how to do collaboration. First, I want to let you know this is still early stages. So there are a lot of groups working on this, trying to figure out how to do it. I figured out that it's a little more complex than the presentation skills. Presentation skills is very mechanical. It's about how you move. But in collaboration, it's not so much about how you move. It's about what you say, how you, what it has. It's another level of complexness on top of the typical things that we do, for example, for presentations. So we're trying to create some collaboration literacy feedback system. So how to augment the ability to ascertain or respond to change in the quality of collaborating experience. It's not just, and this is something interesting, collaboration skills is not just one monolithic thing. And not even it's just one skill, is basically the capability to adapt to a group. There are groups that you have to have several skills in hand, and you need one to apply which one. So that's why we're calling more collaboration literacy instead of collaboration skill. What we're using to do this? Well, we use a sensor, as you can imagine. The same thing, we need to see, we need to hear. So if we need to see and we need to hear, that means a camera and a microphone. This is a directional microphone and a fisheye camera. Yeah, right here. There are other versions. This is from Marcelo Worsley in Northwestern University. These have the directional microphone only. It shows about audio. What happens if you are not face-to-face? There's also some solution that is called Zoom Sense that is able to do this on Zoom. So it's kind of an agent that connects there and record what people say and what people hear. For example, we know who's talking because of this yellow rectangle. We know how much they are talking. So we have sensors that can record what is happening. I think that phase is kind of solved. We can get, this is what we get from the sensor. For example, a group is collaborating around a table. We can have video and directional audio from the group, so we know who's talking. We can extract features. We can apply the same tools that we did before. We can extract facial expression. We can extract posture. We can extract who's talking because we have directional audio, like the Amazon Echo and this thing. You can detect where the audio is coming from. We can extract what is being said, automatic speech recognition. Yeah, we can do that. We can detect, for example, the gaze because we know the position of the eyes. We can calculate gaze, so who's looking at what. For example, we see that student B is looking at this area here, while student D is looking here. Yeah, you see that this person is looking right here, while this person is looking more across the room. So yeah, then you can imagine what we could do with this, how we can start doing some analysis. We can see who's talking, and if the person is looking at the person who's talking, and if you are paying attention, who's leading, we know who's talking, so we know who's having more time talking. So we can start generating some basic analytics out of this. And we can generate, for example, which part of the table is speaking more, how was the activity during the conversation. Even if you extract the text, you can do some text analysis, natural language processing, so emotional tone, analytical thinking, cloud. Okay, all these things that you can do on when you have text, when you can analyze text, yeah, you can do this. You can analyze, for example, a percentage of participation, who's talking when, who's responding to who, the turn-taking strategies, and we can already process this. But there is a very big, these are the basic things. These are the mechanics of collaboration. But what about the semantics of collaboration? And this is where we are hitting basically a wall. Because trying to approach this from the side of data is, okay, we have this data, but we don't know if this data is good enough to feedback collaboration. So participation, yes, we can. But what about creating the good collaboration environment? What about integration into the group? What about assimilation of other people's idea, building upon other people's idea, team coordination, self-coordination? What we do about this? So we're working right now on trying to bring a framework of teaching collaboration. Even this thing that I suppose that existed when we started this, there is no real framework on how we teach collaboration because we don't teach collaboration. Yeah, there are some things to measure collaboration quality, but they are more for the research side. Wow, we're trying to measure equality, we're measuring to try synchronicity, but you are not taking a student and say, oh, you should synchronize with each other. What that means, how we synchronize with each other. Yeah, there is no real framework on how to learn, how to teach and learn collaboration. So we need to start from there and try to develop these tools to fit that. Yeah, and that's not easy fit. So that's why I said this is work in progress. However, there are other tools that have been used very successful, that they do simple things, but still are able to provide valuable feedback. For example, this is the work of Martinez Maldonado and Simon Buchanan in Sydney at the time. They use, in a medical setting, yeah, they have these simulations where there is a group of nurses and they have a mannequin, they have a microphone array, they have all of this capturing what is happening around the table. So they have an emergency, for example, there's a cardiac arrest, and they see how the group moves around, how they collaborate, what they say to each other, yeah, when they turn off the equipment, and they're able to see, okay, where were you when you spend most of the time? You were beside the mannequin or the patient, you were away, and they're able to see, or these are the reflection part. They have after they have the simulation session with the patient that lasts for 1 hour, they have reflection time with the instructor. The instructor can see the data and say, look, here something happened and you took more than this amount of time to react. You should do it faster. Or you see you were in this part, you should be communicating with this other person, and you were not doing that. So they are augmenting the capability of the instructor to provide feedback to the students. Now, imagine in this high tension environment when you have to be aware of many things, you will not remember what happened. You may be even not aware of what happened. With this tool, you're able to say, oh, I remember I was standing there and I was talking to that. So there is a way to augment our capability to remember with very easy visualizations. There are not complicated visualizations on what happened, what did what, at what time. Yeah, where I was standing, where I was doing. So they can reflect on their activity, learn more from that simulation. Yeah, and next time do it better. That is what we want to achieve. Yeah. Because it's almost time, I want to go more into the conclusions of, well, we see that we can use multimodal learning analytics to provide some kind of feedback to transversal skills, to the development of transversal skills. More importantly, we are able to create a process of deliberate practice. The thing that was missing, and it's not missing because teachers don't want to do it, it's because teachers cannot do it, the students cannot do it, this kind of deliberative practice with these transversal skills, because they are difficult to measure, they are difficult to monitor, they are difficult to provide feedback on. So the idea is we can use multimodal learning analytics to do it. This is why we cannot do deliberative practice. Without multimodal learning analytics, we cannot conduct deliberative practice. So there is a real need for the technology. Yeah, it's not that we just want to replace teachers. We really want to, for them to be able to do something that they were not able to do before. We need to improve monitoring, feedback, and reflection, and explore ways how to augment what we can do as humans. Yeah, we want to be better at what we do. Yeah, it is easy. No, this is a very complex field. We need the collaboration of a lot of people. Is one worldwide? yes, of course, we're trying to solve an educational need that is there. We are not just trying to see, look what we can do with data. We're actually to solve something that is there. And it's interesting, of course it is. There is a lot of, you are new in a field that, yeah, you are bound to invent things here. You are bound to discover new things the moment that you are using this, because nobody has been here before. Nobody has been trying to do this at the level that we're trying to do it. So yeah, there is a lot of potential for research. And we live in this intersection of education. We need to have educational people. If not, this will be useless tools. Artificial intelligence, you're interested in artificial intelligence. Here is the real place where artificial intelligence can play a role on helping us, helping computers perceive the same way that we humans perceive, not to think as we think. We're not there yet, maybe in some decades, but right now, the role of artificial intelligence is in the perception and human-computer interaction, because none of this is useful if we cannot provide this information back to students and instructors in a way that they can make it actionable right away. There is a sad part to this, that is, we focus on tools, not papers. So if you want to publish 50 papers per year, this is not your field. Because we have to concentrate on create tools. We don't want to create prototypes that we test and we throw away, as we do with a lot of other technologies. We need to create solutions that are used by a lot of people so we can measure if they actually have an impact on the improvement of the skills. We cannot do that in a lab. Yeah, we need to do that in the wild. We need to go to the classroom. We need to go there. And for that, we need systems. We need tools that works. And yeah, jumping that barrier is harder than you think. First, you need to convince people that what you do is important. You need to convince people of that what you do is relevant and is actually works. Yeah. So tools, not papers, but also pedagogy, not technology. The lead here, and we discovered it with the collaboration feedback system, is that we should do what is pedagogically right, not what is technologically possible. Yeah, just because we can provide some feedback doesn't mean that we have to. Yeah, and we should, when we're trying to provide feedback, we have to go with the typical learning scenarios that we have. We have to adapt. We have to augment what is already there. We don't have to replace what is there. We have to see how people are learning collaboration now. How are people learning critical thinking now? How are people learning creativity now? How we can improve that process? How we could add this deliberative practice there? Yeah, instead of, okay, we have a revolutionary way, get out, we take this. No, we need to work with instructors that are already there in the field. And we will get there together. As I said, this is a very complex problem that is not, just one mind is not enough. Yeah, one research group is not enough. I think if we need more people working on this. Even globally, we don't have enough researchers working on these problems. Even the tiniest of problems of how to provide feedback for posture in a presentation, that could be a PhD easily. Yeah, so each small problem here could be enough research work for 4 years of a researcher. So we need global collaboration here. We cannot just, okay, my group is doing this, my group is doing this. We need to work together. Unfortunately, we are understanding that now, and we have a very large community of multimodal learning analytics researchers. So, and we want you. You can help. You can be part of this. Consider going multimodal. Consider adding more than just log data to your analysis. Trying to go a little bit further. Okay, let's try to use the audio. Let's try to use emotions. Let's try to use video in my research. Consider joining Cross MMLA. That's this special interest group of Solar that is working in this intersection. Yeah, that's trying to use multimodality and bring. Yeah, as I said, not all learning analytics is multimodal learning analytics, but learning analytics will be multimodal learning analytics in the future. We cannot escape trying to take all the information possible, and all the information possible means using different modalities. Yeah, and let's talk. If you have an idea, you want to collaborate, I'm very open. My group is very open to do this. So with that, I want to thank you. If you have any question, that's my email. We don't have the time right now, I think, but I'm very happy to start a conversation with you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Xavier. Well, I've been told by the organizers there in Barcelona that we can have at least 10 minutes of questions if there's some question, and I think it was a great way to open this LASI Spain with a terrific, interesting, and even provocative at times presentation. So I don't know if anyone in the audience has any question. I think you can either raise your hand virtually or just start talking and write on the chat. Okay, it seems that we have no questions. I would have one question. Yeah. In the meanwhile, if anyone wants to ask any further, but we're talking here about when we talk about collaboration or presentation skills, like transversal skills, generally they're embedded in other activities that are more focus on learning some disciplines or or some other formal skills. So don't you think that there's a problem that there's an imbalance between how few people, mainly instructors, know how to teach and assess these transversal skills specifically, and who would be coding effectively, for example, how to provide feedback for collaboration? Because even though there may be some guidelines for effective collaboration, not all the behaviors, for example, would mean the same in the context of different groups.
Yeah, that's why something that we discussed when we were talking collaboration literacy is something that is needed both in the student, but also in the instructor. Instructor needs to identify good collaboration patterns in different groups, because of course there is the diversity of, let's start with the basic thing. If you have a very simple view of collaboration, say everybody should participate equally. That's the first thing that normally, as an instructor, you want. Everybody have to talk, everybody have to participate. But there are people that naturally speak more, and there are people that maybe speak less, but they contribute the same amount as the others, maybe not talking a lot. So then you move from this conception of everyone have to participate equally to everybody have to contribute similarly. That this participation and contribution are not exactly the same. So you need to have a more sophisticated understanding of collaboration. And that has to go, yeah, in the student, but also in the instructor. For them, they need to provide the feedback at the end. So yeah, that's one challenge that we're trying to address, is how to develop a framework that is understandable by the instructor and the student, and that they could apply in a way that is not simplistic, that is not, okay, everybody should talk the same time, the same amount of time. No. Let's talk about contribution. Let's talk about assimilation. Are you hearing what other people are saying? You are not just putting your ideas without consideration of other people's ideas. So yeah, and that's why we return to the theory. Yeah, we cannot do that with a measure. We need to provide some kind of instruction and guidance to the teacher in order to provide that feedback.
Well, thank you. I think we do have one question from Max Dickman, because we're talking about transversal 21st century skills, and you mentioned creativity as a transversal skill. Max asks, to what extent do you think that creativity is something that can be taught? And because he argues that it's in great part inherent rather than learned. And I think that the follow-up question would be how to implement multimodal learning analytics to provide feedback regarding creativity.
Yeah, it's the same. I think all skills have some kind of innate nature. For example, I remember what I practice. It doesn't look like I practice track and field. I have a friend that never went to training, but the day of the games, he was able to run faster than me, and I practice every day. So yeah, he was better than me inherently, but I got better practicing. Of course, I got better practicing. So the same, I think, with creativity. Yeah, we have inherent creativity, but we can develop what we already have there. we can learn to use it, what we have, because sometimes in the schools, okay, no, don't be creative, don't use that. Even if you are creative, no, here's the answer and it's at the back of the book. We need to develop that ability to use our creativity, however little of a lot that we have. Yeah, and we can, even if we have inherent, we can practice it so we can get better at using our creativity, not necessarily at increasing the level that we have, but to the level that we can use it to solve problems. So yeah, I think that's something that we can learn no matter how little or much we have. And how we can use multimodal learning analytics, that's a very good question. And some of the initial research, I don't have seen that many research in this area yet, but one of the initial research is actually trying to understand what students are saying. For example, the moment that they provide an idea that is completely new, that is not contained in what is on the problem or is contained in what others have said before, you can detect at least that you are being creative or you are adding something new to the conversation. That's the extent of what I have seen, but that it will help you to see how many new ideas I have had this week. I can imagine that's something that tells me how creative I have been this week, and I could be more creative maybe next week. That what I think is the direction of creating some kind of feedback device to do it, a feedback system to let you be aware of how creative you are.
Well, thank you very much for your answer. I think we have time for just one more question before we proceed to the doctoral consortium. Okay, if not, just once again, thank you very much, Xavier. It was great to have you here, and I hope many people.
Sorry, Angel, we have a question here.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see it.
Attending. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, okay, come on.
Go ahead, Yanni.
Hi, this is Yanis Dimitriadis. So glad to listen again about the multimodal learning analytics. Just dealing with the specifics of collaboration analytics. We already know that it was very difficult for decades to define indices for collaboration analytics. Right now, we add multimodal data. So this means that probably we have richer data, but at the same time, we increase the problem of mapping multiple sources of data to some fuzzy concepts. So I know about the framework that you presented in TLAC, but I don't know how we can deal with this dilemma. Fuzzy concepts, difficult to be defined with augmented number of data sources and information.
Yeah, that's one of the challenges, and the short answer to that is we need to rely on humans. We humans are very good at mapping fuzzy concepts to the evidence that we have in front of us. So what I will say in that respect is our system should be less prescriptive in the sense that you should be doing that, and more just descriptive on saying, this is what happened in the collaboration. Can you make sense of it? It's something that could help you to reflect about the quality of collaboration. Oh yeah, the fact that I was talking half of the time, maybe it's some indication that I'm monopolizing what is happening. Or you can make, oh, I just spoke most of the time because I was the expert in this specific topic. So the human is the one that makes the interpretation out of the data. We're just providing the data in a way that is easy to reflect. For example, I think that's what the brilliant move out of the Sydney group. They are not trying to say, this is how you should do the simulation. They are just showing, this is what happened during the simulation, that allow you to reflect on what happened. And together the instructor with the students are able to figure it out what pedagogical meaning it has. So I think that we're at this stage, because I agree with you, trying to map everything to a concept, saying this is your score for contribution and this is your score for team coordination. Yeah, we're far from that, because yeah, we cannot, even we humans cannot we cannot agree on exactly what they need. A computer, much less.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome.
Well, so now I really think that time's up. Once again, Xavier, thank you very much. You're invited to follow the rest of LASI Spain virtually, as well as all the attendees. Now, as you all know, we have now the doctoral consortium. I don't know if there will be some brief pause before that. Davinia and Teresa will confirm from Barcelona. Once again, thank you very much, everyone.